See, mostly means we can means we will get the problem that when we will use synchronous and when we will use the asynchronous. Okay, because why definition we can understand that this is synchronous, this is asynchronous. But if anybody will ask, or even if you have to write the code, that time maybe you will get some problem that when we will use the asynchronous or when we will use the synchronous term. So synchronous means code will be run in the sequence. This means that each operation must wait for the previous one to complete the execution. Like here we are writing console.log1. Once this will got complete, then only the second line will get executed. Then only third line will get a start. Correct? Means this all three will be sequence wise and we will get the output sequentially. But in the case of asynchronous, asynchronous is not like that. It will run multiple code or multiple function or method running parallelly. Means multiple work is going parallelly at the same time. As like in CPU, you can watch movie same time, you can do something Microsoft operation, you can serve the internet, then you can play game. Means at the same moment you can play music, you can play video, you can play game, means you can play the game, everything going on at the same moment. Means the task is going, that is asynchronous, because multiple task is running in the parallel. So same thing is happening here. Asynchronous means multiple tasks going and running in the parallel mode. So this means that an operation can occur while another one is still in the process. Means one task is already going on and second task is also going same time. Okay, so that is known as the asynchronous. But in the term of, in the case of synchronous, one task have to complete, then only second will start. Like in your system, if you playing music, once you will stop the music, then only you can go for the next or playing the game. So that will, सर ज्वाइन होने के बाद ऑटोमेटिक डिस्कनेक्ट क्यों क्यों हो जा रहा है? ओ माय गॉड, ऐसा सबका हो रहा है क्या? नहीं तो okay. So in the asynchronous, multiple tasks is going in the parallel. So now see, one console.log is running. Once this task will complete, then this task will get executed, then this task will get executed. Is this type it will follow? Means one will complete, then set time out will get executed, then three will be executed. Is that type that will follow or something different? What you thinking? Means in synchronous case, console.log1, console.log2, console.log3, one by one they will execute. But what about in the asynchronous? Console.log1, set timeout, console.log3. Here also it will follow the same, or what it will? Hmm? Yeah.
The sequence.
Means it will not follow the sequence. Means it will go on the sequence, but something is there. Like console.log one got executed. Once this will get execute, this will also get execute, this will also get execute. Means all three gone executed. But the output of this one, when it will come? When we will get the output of this? Just after completing one, or completing two, or completing three? When we will get?
After one.
After completing one.
No, so after
Okay.
completing three.
After completing 3.
Yes.
Okay. But why we will get after completing 3?
Because it's take sometimes then it's executed.
Yeah. So now see, when we will get executed this line console.log1, it will got execute. Set timeout, it will also get execute that time itself, means after completing console.log1, but it will not give you the output because this is callback. Correct. And callback means when anybody will call, that time it will come. Who is calling this method? Means console.log2, who is calling? So set timeout is calling. Correct. And when it calling after 100 millisecond. Correct. Means at some time, after some time, it going to execute. Means when this set timeout will call, that time only this console will come. And meanwhile, maybe before the executing of this line, maybe this third line got executed. It's not sure whether third will get executed before 2 or after 2. But according to duration, because here we are passing 100. So once it will complete this time, then only the third this will get execute. Meanwhile, who all will get chance, they will get executed. Clear? So here we will tell that the output will be like console.log1. After that console.log3 will come. Then set timeout, it will come only once the time will be get over. Whatever time we are passing there, once it will get over. Means set timeout, what you thinking, for 100 millisecond, this function is waiting. This function get pause or it get stopped? What is happening actually? Set timeout for 100 millisecond. What you thinking? This function get stopped or after 1000 millisecond again it coming back? What is going on? What you thinking? Any idea? So see, this function get executed. It's not waiting for the 100 millisecond or 1 millisecond, whatever we will pass the value. It's not waiting for that time, but this will get executed. But it will get called only once when the time duration or whatever duration we are passing, only when the time duration get reached. Suppose now we are passing 100. In place of 100, go with the 1000. Now it become 1 millisecond. Correct? Means 1 second. You can tell like 1000 millisecond. So once this 1000 millisecond will reached, that time only we will get the output. But before that itself, this line had got executed, but we not get the output because this will execute only once this 1000 millisecond will reached. That's why we will not tell that this function was stopped or this function was paused. No, it got executed, but it not displaying the output because set timeout was there, and due to set timeout there is callback, and due to that callback it will call only when somebody will call. And who is calling? Set timeout is calling, and when it calling, after 1000 millisecond. Clear what is going on? So if somebody asking you that set timeout, set interval, how that means that are working. So don't tell that it will execute only after 1000 or after 5 millisecond, whatever time duration we are passing. So no, not like that. It will execute that time itself, now itself, but the output will come only when the time will be reached. Clear or having any doubt? Tell me. Dharmender, Praful, Shivani, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So in here we had added some content in the promise section. So you can go through that. If you not getting any means clarity, if you have doubt, we will discuss in the revision class, because it will take too much time if we will go again. Because here how we can change in the promise means if we going to take multiple promise. then how it will work? How we can change multiple time? Means multiple promise. Previously we was looking over only one promise. If that is multiple promise, then how we will change? Then what is the different methods? Those all we had added here. See, multiple chaining. Dot then one, then dot then again one, p dot then one. Means three time we are chaining this. Correct. So this type we can change that promise. See that sequence, new promise, dot then, dot then, dot then. Means one by one, it will go on. Clear? Okay, now we will move to the, which topic we was going on? Previously, what we was covering, JSON. Where is JSON? Web API, Ajax, JSON. Okay, let's say go through here itself. So yesterday we had seen what is JSON. So JSON stands for the JavaScript object notation. It is a text format, okay, for storing the data or transporting the data. So there are some website on which you can create the JSON format, okay, like, or otherwise your data is there, but that is not in the proper JSON format. So you can do that JSON formatter. Some websites are there where you can create the JSON data, or if you want some sample data in the JSON format for doing some activity, you can download the sample data. So suppose that I want a JSON data for e-commerce website, for e-commerce, e-commerce sample application, something here, yeah, on GitHub something is there. Code is not there. Dummy. These all are the API actually. Walmart. What is this? Try this API. What is this product 84 apply to? This is your URL. See, any data is available. Choose a country. There is one website, fake store API. Okay, on this you will get sample data. If you have to work on that, you can download and you can check that. You will get the details like a product. 20 products are there. Let's try on this one. Okay, it get anyway. Now, how to create a JSON file?
.json, sir.
.json. Okay, let's see. Oh, 40, then 41, one dot HTML, one dot JS, and C. If you have to create that JSON data, you have to create inside the, means you have to create with the help of dot JSON extension. So dummy data dot JSON. Okay. You have to create like this type. After that, you have to place the data here. Okay. Now format the data. This is our JSON data. Open live server. Now, this is your dummy data of the JSON. How we will fetch that on the our JavaScript file or anywhere, we will look later, not an issue. But how we will create the JSON, that we will see. So for creating the JSON, first object will be there, means sorry, the array will be, and inside the array we are passing all the data, means in the object form. It's not compulsory that here you will take the array itself always. So we can remove that also. Let's see. After removing, we getting any error. I'm not thinking we will get error. Now see. Is error is, yeah, error be given. End of the file expected. What is that? Okay. Then put that a square bracket. Okay. Now there is no any error. Fine. So this one is known as the JSON format. And means inside the array, what we had done, we kept the collection of the object. This is our one collection of object, and this is another collection of the object. Now look over any one. No need that each one. So how we are taking the data? So data will be inside the string, and the value may be anything, whether a string, number, or object, anything. It may be array also. See here, the data is available in the object, means value is available in the object, because a rating is the, what is that one? This ID. What is this? And what is this? We already, and means we already had learned over the object. What is left side and what is right side?
Property and value means
Yeah,
key and
key and
value.
value. Yeah, so that is key and value. So in the rating case, we had taken the key as a rating, and value is the what? Value is object.
Ob-
Correct. And again, inside the object, again, key and value pair. Multiple key and value pair is going on. So this type we can create. If any requirement is there that you have to create some dummy data in the JSON format, if anybody suggested you, so just you will create the dummy data in this format itself. Okay, key and value. How many object you are taking or array you taking, it's not the matter. Matter is just you have to take in the key and value format. That is the thing. So JSON is the self-describing and easy to understand, because if you will look on this JSON format, you will easily understand that what is going on. Like ID is there, then title is there, then price, and that this become your title. Then this become your price. Description means anybody can easily understand from the line whatever is written there. So JSON example, the JSON is already in this type. That's fine. It will contain the name and value like that. It identify an object with three property. For this case, we are taking three property. One is name, age, and car. Okay. So these three property. So each property has a value. Fine. Next, how to access? Already we know that how to access the object. How we was accessing object in the JavaScript?
Dot notation and square bracket.
Yeah, dot notation and a square bracket both. So dot notation means the object. Suppose this is your object and some names are there for the object. Correct? Some names are there. Why it giving error? Because I think equal to are required. Because this is not the JSON. Correct? This we are creating. This is object. So it will be key and value pair. But when we will make that in the form of object, that time not equal to, it will be colon. Okay, and then some name will be there, like I think late data equal to, what happened?
Colon, sir.
Oh, it will colon. Then why it given that time error?
You not created
Yeah.
variable, sir.
Oh, that's why. Correct. It to be not required this much. Fine. Now we got the data in the which form? Object form. And now if you have to access any data, what you will do? You will go with a data dot and whatever value you want, like ID, price, whatever you want, you will pass the key and then you will get the output. But same type we are following in the case of the JSON also, because lastly this is a object itself, but collection of multiple object here we are taking. So that's why we told that this become the JSON format, but it's equivalent to object itself. So what is JSON now? So JSON stands for the JavaScript object notation. JSON is a lightweight data interchange format. This nothing is required. Okay, just you have to understand. Nobody will ask the question what is JSON. Yeah, means what is JSON, what is XML. These things they are asking, but this all benefit or these all nobody will ask. JSON is a plain text written in the JavaScript object notation. It is used to send the data between the computers. Means it is for the using for the data purpose. So it is language independent. This is the main thing. The JSON syntax is derived from the JavaScript object notation, but the JSON format is a text only. Code for reading and generating the JSON exists in any programming language. Means the JSON which is we are right now we are going in the JavaScript. It may be used in any languages. It's not depending on the language wise. Okay. Then next, why we use the JSON? So the JSON format is syntactically similar to the code for creating the JavaScript object. Means whatever we are creating the object, it's similar to the JSON. That's why we are using the JSON. Second, because of this, a JavaScript program is can easily convert JSON data into JavaScript object. Means whatever we are taking in the JSON format, we can easily convert into object form because it's similar. Since the format is text only, but whatever format we are using, that is a text. So JSON data can easily be sent between the computer and used by any programming language. Fine. Next, JavaScript has built-in function for converting JSON string into JavaScript object. We already telling that JSON is the text. So now you have to convert. Suppose you want to convert into object or even you want to convert into a string, you have to use some method. So what method? For converting JSON string into JavaScript object. Now we going to convert the JSON string into a string to object form. So which method we will use? We will use the JSON.parse method. And second, JavaScript has inbuilt function for converting an object into a string. JSON string means here we was converting a string to object. Here we reversing that process, object to a string. So converting into a string, JSON.stringify. Same thing we had done where we had done. Anyone?
Login page, sir.
Local storage.
Yeah, sir,
Correct?
local storage.
Because in local storage we was storing the data. So same thing we was doing there. JSON.parse and then JSON.stringify. Next, you can receive, because see what it is doing actually, it is the way of where the word was written. No, not this one, but somewhere word was written that it is for the access the data or transfer the means for the that for transferring purpose, data communication, you can tell. You will get that word later. Okay, so you can receive the pure text from the server and use it as a JavaScript object. Yeah, so see from the server and then we will use that one. You can send the JavaScript object to a server in the pure text format and you can work with data as a JavaScript object with no complicated parsing and translation. So there are two ways by which we can convert the JSON into means JSON to object and object to a string. Fine. Means text to object to a string and a string to object. We can convert that. Now storing data. When storing data, the data has to be certain format. Regardless of which you choose to store it, the text is always one of the legal format. JSON make it possible to store JavaScript object as text. Means what JavaScript is doing, JavaScript is storing the object data itself, but in the form of the text. Means whatever we are taking the JSON that is available in the text format, but we are trying to store, we are converting. That's why we converting into object or either in the stringify. We are doing two process, JSON.stringify or JSON.parse, because the data which we are storing in the JSON that is available in the text format. So next, JSON syntax. So how we are writing that? So JSON syntax is subset of JavaScript sentence, and it will contain data is in the name and value pair. Next, data is separated by comma, curly braces hold the object, a square bracket hold the array. Same thing we had looked over. So JSON data, a name and value pair. JSON data is a written name and value pair, akka key value pairs. I don't know what is that one. The name and value pair consists of a field name in double quotes, okay, and followed by a colon, followed by a value. Clear? So like here we are writing name, double quote, then colon, and then double quote as the value. Can we take single quote? I don't know that whether we can take or not. Let's verify. See, it given error. So we can't take the single quote. Keep in mind. We can take only double quote. Now, JSON name require double quotes. Fine. JSON evaluates to JavaScript object. So the JSON format is almost identical to JavaScript object. JSON format already be seen that it is similar to the object. In JSON, key must be a string written with the double quotes. Okay, the key may be anything, whether a string or number. Let's see. We will see that whether we can take the number or not. Let's just do here. Remove. So we can't take, but make this as a string. So we can take that. Now it is in the string format, means we can take in the form of string only. Now JSON value. In JSON, the value must be one of the following data type. Means what is that? That is not key. That is a value. Okay, means the right side, not the left side one. This one. So What is that? This may be a string, number, object, array, boolean, null, anything. Next, in JavaScript, see that word. In JavaScript, this is not the JSON. Okay. In JavaScript, the value can be all of the above. Whatever we are writing here, everything will be plus any other valid JavaScript expression, including function, date, undefined. Means JSON value. In the case of JSON, we seen that these all we can take care, we can kept there, we can take. But in the case of JavaScript, these all we can take, and after that we can take this also. Means you can tell in the form of the object type at that time of object. But in the time of JSON, we will not take, we can't take this one. We can take only these all things. Next, in JSON, a string value must be written with the double quote. That's okay. In JavaScript, you can write a string value. Yeah, 1 second. Control. Okay, so here we can write whatever value it may be available in the double quote or single quote. But single quote, when you write in the JavaScript, sorry, in the JSON, it will give you error in the single quote. But in JavaScript, it will not give you error. Means what? JavaScript in the sense object, or when we was writing in the JavaScript, we was creating the object. That time we can write single or double quote, both. But when we creating the JSON, and in the JSON, if we going to write, it become the problem. Okay, so that is the thing. Next, JavaScript object. So because JSON syntax is derived from the JavaScript notation, JSON got derived from the JavaScript itself. Very little or extra software is needed to work with the JSON within the JavaScript. Means you can tell that nothing is required, just minor something will be required. That's it. Next, with JavaScript, you can create an object and assign the data to it like this. Already we know that how we can create the object and how we can pass the data. So in this case itself, it's telling that you can pass either single quote or double quote. That itself it considering regarding the JavaScript. Now you can access a JavaScript object like this type. Already we know that if you have to access the name, suppose that what we will do, person dot name with the help of dot. Same thing we can do with the help of accessing the square bracket person, and within a square bracket we can pass that a string value. Sorry, a string key. So next, if you want to modify the data, what you can do? Data can be modified like this. Person dot name equal to some value we can pass. So in this way, we can modify the value. Same thing, this was with the help of dot notation, and this is with the help of the index, because this is known as the index. This is string index. So means sorry, named index you can tell. So here we are passing the index, and it will change the value at that position person whose key is name. Next, you will learn how to convert the JavaScript object into JSON later in this tutorial. Fine. So next, JavaScript array as a JSON. So the same way, JavaScript object can be written as the JSON. Okay, object, whatever we are creating that object, same type we can perform all the task in the JSON also. JavaScript array can also be write as the JSON. You will learn more. Okay, now JSON file, the file type of JSON file will be .json, and the MIME type of JSON text is application/JSON. What is this MIME? I forget. Previously, I have the idea. This one. What is this? Any idea? Anyone? MIME. Hello, am I audible?
No, sir, no idea.
Okay, let's see. Database. Amardeep, any idea?
नो सर, पहले सुन रहे हैं।
Multiple input something was there. What is the correct? What is this? MIME type. Is this MI content type? What is MIME type in JSON? What according to the official MIME type for the JSON? Okay, this is something official name for the JSON. What is the correct type of JSON MCQ? JSON MCQ. MIME. It's there. What is the MIME type for the JSON text? That is application dash slash JSON. MIME type of JSON is application dash application slash JSON. I think this is something like HTML. We are taking HTML4 or 5 like that itself, something a standard or something they are following. MIME. But what is full form of that? What is full form of MIME? JSON. Is a label used to identify type of data. Okay, it is used for identify the type of data, which type of data that is. So that is, suppose we are using that application slash JSON, it will refer the JSON data. It is used so software can know how to handle the data. It serves the same purpose on the internet that file extension do on Microsoft Windows. Okay, got it. Clear. It is just for the identifying purpose. Like Microsoft will identify .doc file, .excel file. So like that itself, it will identify the type of the file or application. That's why it's written here, application slash JSON. Okay. So next, what is JSON versus XML? So now we understand up to now what we were discussing. We discussing what is JSON. Now we will look over what is XML and what is JSON. So we seen that how we can create the data in the JSON format. So JSON format data will be object containing, but both JSON and XML can be used to receive the data from a web server. Means we can get the data from the server in both the format JSON and XML. Both the following JSON and XML examples both define an employee object within the three arrays of the three employee. Here we are containing some data, JSON data, like here that is employees, and here three records are available for the employee. Next, same thing we are writing in the XML format. Let's copy that. What will be the file format for the XML in the JSON itself or anything? Dharmender, what will be format? I don't know. Test dot. Let's verify XML. I think this is correct. No formatter. Okay, cancel that. Something is there. Okay, go through this, then we will go for the explanation. So JSON is like XML, because see here two things is there. JSON is like XML because JSON is unlike XML, because means in both scenario what it going to discuss, that a JSON is it comparing with the XML, and in both scenario it's telling the plus and minus, positive and negative both scenario, and comparing with the same itself. So JSON is like similar to XML, how, and not similar, how, that is the thing. So both JSON and XML are self-describing, human readable, means now see in this case how we had created the data. Copy this first JSON format data. One second, battery down. See, so what is the main array of that data? That is employees. So when we writing XML format of the data, it will be in the form of the HTML tag itself. Okay, so whatever means a main array or who's going to contain the all the data, that will be comes in the main tag. Main tag in the sense you can see that this is the parent tag employees, means this become your parent tag. After that this is your separate data, means you can consider like employee, this is one employee, then this become the second employee, then this become the third employee. So like that type. So this become your one employee, then this become second employee, this become the third employee. So previously it was in the form of the plural, and now means they taken the s, and here we are taking normal like employee, and here employee. Fine. After that, what is the first key? That is first name. So what we will do? We will take the tag, means whatever key we are taking here, that will comes under the tag for that purpose. Okay, so we will take the first name. Then for one employee, what is the total data? First name, last name, two records are available. Correct. So same thing we taking inside one tag, employee tag, and inside that we taken one tag, that is first name, then we taken another tag, that is last name, then second employee, then again same thing, first name, last name, then third employee, first name, and then last name. Then what is the difference between JSON format data and XML format data? Who can tell? Up to now, whatever we had seen, according to this, what you observed?
Sir, it is sort.
What sort?
Sort data, sir. Line of code reduced, sir.
Okay, fine. Means JSON you telling that a less line of code.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
And
What is next?
it is easy for understand, sir.
Okay, fine. Next.
And sir, showing like key and value pair in JSON, and XML is tag, and some
Yeah,
content is there.
that is the main point. If you will tell that that XML data will contain in the HTML tag type, then everything will be look clear, because this data is completely inside the HTML tag. So whatever key we are taking here, these all are comes under HTML tag. Correct. We are taking like the HTML tag, means opening and closing. Remaining all, both will be readable, user-friendly data. We can easily understand what is going on there. But when we will look over the JSON and the XML, we will see more comfortable in the reading the data in the JSON format. Correct or not? When we going with that XML format of the data, comparing to XML, we will find more compare means more easy in the case of the JSON format. Then here also we are taking the key and value, but we don't know how to access the data of the XML format. Okay, so yeah, so JSON and XML both are self-describing, human readable, but both JSON and XML are hierarchical value within the values. Means we can pass the hierarchy. There is one value, means sorry, one key that is employed. These all are the value inside that key. Again, inside that value and key and value pair is going on. Suppose here again you want to take some data in the form of the hierarchy. You can take that. Same thing we can do here also. So next, both JSON and XML can be parsed and used by lot of the programming languages. If you will go in the .NET, then I think there we can take the XML and we are taking that also, XML format of the data. Next, both JSON and XML can be fetched with an XML HTTP request. Next, JSON is unlike XML. We were telling JSON and XML both are same. Here we are telling that JSON is unlike with XML. Means now we are telling that JSON is not good here. 1 second. So here JSON is unlike XML. Okay. Now previously we were telling JSON is good with the XML. Now we are telling JSON is not good with XML. Like that we are comparing. Okay. So JSON does not use end tag. We already seen that. In the case of the JSON, we not using the any tag concept. But in the case of the XML, we are using the tag concept. This means if anybody asking you in the interview, you can simply tell that in the XML case, we can use the tag concept. We can bind the data inside the tags. But when we going in the JSON format, we not going to use the tag. We can simply wrap the data inside the curly braces with the key and value pair. Next, JSON is the shorter. JSON is the quicker to read and write. JSON can use the arrays. Now see, here we can use the array symbol. But how we will use the array here? It's not possible. Correct? But we can bind the data inside the tag. Like here we take an employee, and after that again we can make the another form of the tag, and then we can bind. But in this case, we are using the arrays, but in this case, we can't use the array symbol. Clear? And second, already we had seen that this is easy to read, but this is not that much easier to read, because see, by looking over that, we can get that point, but it's not that much easy comparing to the JSON, because in JSON, it's looking simple and we can get that, we can understand that easily. So now the biggest difference is XML has to be parsed with an XML parser. Same thing we was doing, which one we was using in the form of the JSON for parse purpose?
Converting a string to
What?
object.
For
Converting a string
parse?
to object, sir.
Yeah, means now
Yeah, sir.
in the XML case, we are telling that we have to use XML parser. In the JSON, what we was using? JSON dot parse. Correct? For converting purpose. Here we are using the JSON parser. Okay, so JSON can be parsed by a standard JavaScript function that is already we know JSON.parse. Why JSON is better than XML? XML is much more difficult to parse than JSON. JSON is parsed into a ready to use JavaScript object. For Ajax application, JSON is faster and easier than XML. Using XML, fetch an XML document. We can fetch using XML, means when we using the XML tag, fetch an XML document, use the XML DOM to loop through the document, extract the value and store in the variable. Means these three steps we have to follow when we getting the data in the XML from the server. But if we using the JSON, what we have to do? We have to fetch the JSON string, we have to fetch the data, and after that JSON dot parse the JSON string. That's it. Means only two steps. Got it. That's why JSON we are using more and more in the real world during means taking the data from the server. And what is Ajax? Any idea? Who having idea? Ajax? No one.
No idea, sir.
Ajax means asynchronous JavaScript XML. The full form of the Ajax is A means asynchronous, J means JavaScript, A means what I told just now, asynchronous JavaScript. I forget.
XML.
XML will come last actually. Before A was there, na? Asynchronous JavaScript A forget. Oh,
Yes, sir. Chroma,
that is
JavaScript, and HTML. Yes.
no. That is and
And
asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay. So we will not go in the Ajax form, but if you want to study Ajax, you can go through that. You can understand that what is Ajax. Just go up to a here, means 3 or 4, 3 or 4. That's it. Because in Angular we are not using the Ajax. That is inbuilt. So we no need to study the Ajax there. But whatever server we are doing the server request, server communication, that is possible with the help of Ajax only. For fetching the data, for passing the data, for inserting the data from the UI or whether from the server. So with the help of Ajax only we are doing. Ajax means asynchronous task we are performing. Okay. So let's move to data type. What is data type? Already we know the data type, but valid data types for the JSON. So data type valid for the JSON is string, number, object, array, null. But starting time itself, I had told that function, date, and undefined we can't use in the JSON format, but where we can use this one? We can use this in the JavaScript. JavaScript in the sense while creating the object. In the object, we can pass this also as a value, but this we can't pass inside the JSON. Means now this is your JSON data. Here you can't pass function, date, and undefined. These three things. See that JSON value cannot be one of the following data type. We can't take in the form of the value. Suppose that here too, you can't pass here null, undefined or null, undefined. UNDEFINED. You can't pass here undefined. Let's say pass inside a double quote. Then also be getting error or what? We got means here on that basis it's not giving you error. But what you're thinking, this is undefined the value or a string? This become the string, correct? Because if this will be not within a square, means double quote, then only this will be undefined. In as like suppose if we have to take number, then we will take directly, means we can take the number, but we can't take undefined directly. And even function, let's verify we can take function or not. Even see when we start writing something, it giving the error. So how we can take something? We are telling we can't take the function. Got it? But if you will pass this inside the double quote, making a string, it will be, because this is not now that function, this is just a string. Got it? So that's why we will not take those all things. But this is your ID number 2. So JSON strings. A string in the JSON must be write in the double quotes. So already we know that how we will write number. We will not write in double quote. We can write directly outside. So number in the JSON must be integer or a floating point. Next, JSON object. Values in JSON can be object. Means value we can take in the object also, like employee. Then again, one object got started there. In the value, we are taking one new object. So we can take object. We can take array also. What is this? Object as value in JSON must follow the JSON syntax. Fine. JSON boolean. We can take that boolean also. We can take null also. Means this type we can take all type of the data, different. So already we know how to parse the data. So suppose your data is coming in the string format. Okay. So now if we are doing something, then we will use the inbuilt method, that is JSON.parse, and inside that we will pass the complete data. So due to parse, what happened? It converting text, simple text, into JavaScript object. Now it become in the JavaScript object form. Make sure the text in JSON format, or else you will get a syntax error. What is the meaning of this one? Text in the JSON format means, anyone? Text in JSON format. It means what?
array or object, sir.
Yeah,
Data in
means
array.
it should be inside the curly bracket or key and value pair. Correct or not? It should be inside the curly bracket and then key and value pair. So that's it's telling JSON format. Now use the JavaScript object in your page. Now it's showing that object.name. Already we know that, so we will not go in this one. Object.name for accessing the data. Then array as JSON. Now we are taking the data in the JSON, that is the array. So here we are taking the array, but what we are doing, we are converting, we are parsing into JSON format. So JSON.parse, and there we are passing the array symbol. Correct? And then see here, the method will return a JavaScript array instead of a JavaScript object. And then now see exceptions. Don't study this exception, acceptance. This is exceptions. You can't do that. Parsing date, you can't parse the date. Date objects are not allowed in the JSON. We can't take as a value the date. If you need to include date, write it as a string. Means you can pass completely hard-coded value, but you can't take the inbuilt method of the date. But if you need, okay, you can convert it back into the date object later. Once you will perform the task, you can convert that back. Don't go more deeper. Or you can use the second parameter, JSON.parse function called reviver. The reviver parameter is a function that checks each property before returning the value. It will check the each property before returning value. Now see what it's doing. Text equal to means the data is this one. Then object.json means JSON.parse, and then we are taking the text, and here function key value something, and here it's doing the sum operation. Then object.name, then here be converted. Let it to be, that's not an issue. Then a stringify. Then how we can convert into a stringify? We already had done that previously itself. JSON.stringify, and whatever data we have, we will pass that as an object, means as an argument. The result will be a string following the JSON notation. Fine. So this type we can convert array or object in the string format. We can means JSON one form to another form. We can perform those operations. Then this is for the object. Then how we can convert the object, that is the thing. Now already we know that how we can access that object. So those all things. Then how we can loop that. We already have idea how to looping the object. Same things are there. Means mostly what we have to look over inside this JSON, that how we can create the data in the key and value pair in the JSON format. That is the main point. Anyone having any doubt? These all are means if you going in different languages, then how you can do, that is the thing. But no need this much, just how we have to create. But one thing you have to take care, that what is XML and what is JSON, that you have to take care. Because somebody had asked already to Shivani in interview, what is difference, what is XML and what is JSON. So take care. If anybody asking, at least you can answer something we had seen. Anyone having any doubt, tell me. Looking through array, nothing is there. JSON.server. Any problem? Anyone? Array or JSON also. Then PHP file. No issue. Okay. Where is JavaScript? JSON completed. What is DOM? jQuery. If you have time, just you can go through these also, whatever is there. But first, just try to complete whatever we had studied, we had covered. Once you complete those, then you can go through that. If anyone having any doubt, you can ask. Once you completed these also, you can ask that. But first, try to complete whatever we had discussed already. Then we will tomorrow we will look over the HTML DOM. Now this will be the last. Then some topics are there already. Closures are there available there. We will cover that